del convegno dopo la pausa e abbiamo due interventi. Il primo intervento sarà tenuto dalla professoressa Lucia Guerra Menendez, è dottore in biologia, medicina, e lavora molto nell'ambito della bioetica, come adesso proprio ci farà vedere. Anche lei è stata molto vicina a padre Jaki anche negli ultimi momenti della vita, è stata lei a riceverlo a Madrid e a accompagnarlo anche all'ospedale fino a praticamente alla fine, e ha collaborato già in altre occasioni nelle attività delle iniziative che abbiamo fatto riguardo a padre Jaki, come abbiamo già detto, per esempio il corso estivo che è stato organizzato a Madrid nel 2010. Allora, 2011. Dunque do a lei la parola, mi sembra che lei parlerà in inglese, e poi invece avremo come secondo intervento quello di Raquel Guerra, che ci darà una testimonianza partendo da questo libro che abbiamo già accennato, Il dramma di Guadalupe. Dunque cominciamo con il primo intervento. Chiedo a Lucia di venire qua. Prego.
So first of all, I would like to thanks to Father Rafael Pascual and all the organization of the Ateneo Regina Apostolorum. And of course, I would like to thank you because also you are here and we are sharing this moment. On March 27th of 2009, Father Stanley Jaki arrived at the airport in Madrid after giving the lectures in Rome. He didn't feel well and he wanted to rest and recover, surrounded by the love of those that we were waiting him in Madrid. And this was his wish. He also was preparing to organize a conference at my university in San Pablo Ceu on a topic related to neuroscience and based on his book, Brain, Mind, and Computers. As well, he wanted to make a trip to the Royal Monastery of Our Lady of Guadalupe in Cáceres because he was finishing a book about the Virgin of Guadalupe. In fact, 3 months earlier, we met in Mexico for this purpose. Father Jaki was a tireless individual, constantly working and obeying the motto of his Benedictine order, Ora et Labora. Father Jaki had many plans, but the plans of God were completely different at that time. As he didn't feel well, we decided to call a doctor who advised us to take him to hospital, and he was diagnosed with a heart condition, and he struggled with all his strength and faith between life and death for 10 days. He was conscious, but he didn't realize the gravity of the situation until Father Rafael Pascual came from Rome to visit him. And in that moment, he realized that his situation was critical because he was with Rafael Pascual in Rome 10 days before, yes. So, and all his closest friends were with him at the hospital, and Jaki put his life in God's hands, and God called him the 7th of April, as all we know, in April of 2009. The work of Father Jaki is extensive, but I'm going to focus in what he wrote about bioethics. Jaki wrote a book titled The Ethical Foundations of Bioethics that I have translated into Spanish. And the bioethical question constitutes for Jaki a new challenge for the Christian civilization that is forced to confront all the classes and forms of relativism, such as subjectivism, functionalism, hedonism, utilitarianism, materialism, anti-things, etc. Okay? As Jaki mentioned in his book, The Drama of Quantities, a society which relativizes reality that 2 and 2 are 4 and no more or less than 5 or more or less than 4 is a manipulable society without springs, without even the reference to reality. He liked very much to say this, as also Antonio Colombo said before in his talk. Yes. In addition, he said that the error or lie may be salable, but it will never be convincing. The pseudoscientific mentality believes that any scientific advance is good itself, but because it is considered only scientific. Father Jaki criticized the confusion between the fact that because something can be done scientifically doesn't mean it should be done, and we must consider if it is morally lawful. In this regard, he wrote that too many scientists admire Schopenhauer, who defended the manufacturer of the atomic bomb, before pondering their morality or not, on the basis that when you see something technically sweet, you go ahead and only have a discussion about it after the technical success. Apart from this example, and in the same way, we could have the debate about the discrimination of human lives due to a lack of a specific genotype, and this is the so-called eugenetics. Another example would be the use of human embryos for therapeutic purposes. For instance, cloning, which divides researchers and society between those who defend human life from the conception and defend its inviolability, and those who consider its use in research for other purposes. In this sense, Father Jaki always denounced how the thought known in the United States as liberal had hijacked science, so that by manipulating public opinion from the pseudo-scientific aspect, and they managed to get the majority to support ideas that contradict science itself, as it is well known in the case of abortion, to name an example. Once approved as law, it becomes considered moral, and in this way, immutable moral principles are replaced by arbitrary and changing patterns of behavior. This is for Jaki the main flaw in the thinking of modern man and his tragedy. Jaki said on more than one occasion that from a scientific perspective and with a solid Catholic formation, we could begin to glimpse some possible hope for changing public opinion that submit to politically correct thinking and ultimately relativism. It is a constant in Jaki's thought not to isolate theology from the debate about the discovery of the truth, without, however, losing the prudence to do so with the proper opportunity. And we can see many different books in the bibliography of Father Jaki that he talks about the conflict between science and religion. The strategy that Father Jaki proposes is to look for the truth in order to reduce relativism to the implicit contradiction that it carries within itself. And Jaki liked to quote the Ecclesiastes when he says, as also Antonio cited before, even until death, fight for the truth, and the Lord, your God, will fight for you. In the Sirach 4, yeah. So Jaki condemns the idea that today there is no longer truth, but opinion, and every opinion is equally respectable. If everything is opinion, what is the criterion of truth? The one that establishes a majority in a certain moment, turning in words of Stanley Jaki to the statistic supreme principle of morality. And this majority gives rise to a law that necessitates, and here we find the other prevailing principle in the current ethical mentality. It says that if something is legal, then it is moral. An example that Father Jaki cites to illustrate this reality will reveal to us the answer we must give to this challenge. It turns out that at the time of Spanish conquest of America, Santo Toribio, Bishop of Lima, he opposed the abuses committed by the conquerors to enrich themselves with gold. And the conquerors alleged in the right that what they did was the custom or tradition that had become law. Santo Toribio's answer was overwhelming. Jesus said that I am the truth, he told to the conquerors. But he told that Jesus didn't say, I am the custom, didn't he? In effect, God's revelation to the world is the answer. Another example that we have in the book is that Moses had already warned the people of Israel about the presumption of appealing to the majority to do evil when he said, "You will not plead the example of many as an excuse to the evil, nor will you stand at the side of the majority when you testify in a judgment perverting the justice." Moses is clear that there is good and there is an evil. Yes, because the word of God has revealed it to him. Jesus Christ, the incarnate word of God, it's himself the truth. And as such, he enlightens man and made him completely lucid. Jaki believed that it is only from Christianity that natural law can be authentically defended, that for him, citing St. Thomas, the natural law is nothing else than the rational participation of the Creator in the eternal law. The eternal law is in turn a reflection of the wisdom with which God created. And since God is infinitely rational, his creation must also incorporate rationality. The last, in turn, is synonymous with cohesion, stability, and permanence. These qualities, according to Jaki, have to be incorporated into things created in different measures and at different levels if they are to reflect the wisdom of a creator who is infinitely rational. If we ask Father Jaki where is the root of the current relativism of contemporary society, he would say that the cause of this delusion is the essence of the man, and this implies two things. First of all is the first attitude of relativistic bioethics, of not wanting to define the basic concepts such as what life is, what conscience is, and what man is. Furthermore, relativism condemns to define these basic concepts. And secondly, the direct result of not wanting to define the man is not recognizing that his essence is going to be limited by his essence. The human being has wanted to exceed the limit that naturally corresponds to him in the name of freedom, that without recognizing that he is at the service of perfecting his own essence and seeks to overcome it, resulting in the self-destruction of man himself. Underlying this, therefore, is what Jaki himself calls a negative definition of freedom. In this sense, Jaki conveys to us that all consideration on principles has been eliminated and there are no absolute principles. Starting from this basis, there are no opinions because there are no absolute and irremovable principles. Before the loss of these principles, Jaki proposes faith as a fundamental barrier against the deluge of relativism. Mere reason, bound to its force, is weak, and St. Thomas Aquinas reminds us, saying that abandoned to human alone, man had, yes, reached the truth, but only after a long time, with a mixture of error, and maybe not all the people. For Jaki, rational bioethics is possible, but it is very difficult. From Christianity in a state of grace, you have a clear mind to name good and evil, and you can have the strength to be consistent and be witness to this truth with your own life and with your own words. In the words of Jaki, in a context related to the defense of the unborn, he tells us that those who most ardently defend the obligation of natural law derive their strength from holding on to the beads of the rosary. Moreover, Jaki, following Criterion, notes that the human soul is naturally Christian, in other words, that it has a vocation and affinity to Christ. And this is a beautiful way to see the harmonious union between faith and reason, revelation and natural law. It is also to recognize that reason seeks faith for what goes through a path that we know as preambles of faith. It is another way of saying what St. Paul's and John Paul II taught us so many times. Jesus Christ reveals man to man. Jaki, after many years of experience as a defender of Catholic faith all around the world, was very clear that faith was an enhancer of natural law. Because man, he was saying, man needs, therefore, something more than himself to avoid falling into chaos and destruction, and this is faith. Quoting Jaki, if any lesson has given us the history of the last 2 or 3 centuries, it is precisely the fact that, separated from the supernatural, a rapid weakening in the natural perception of man is caused to differentiate the good from the bad. And he says, modern society lives on borrowed capital, while not recognizing its debt to its supernatural matrix, the medieval Christian society created by the Church. I have chosen the Cathedral of Barcelona, the Sacred Family by Gaudí, because it was one of his favorite places. I brought him to Barcelona, and he really loved it. In fact, it was one of his projects was to write a book about science and religion around Gaudí's architecture. Jaki returns again and again to the idea that only from faith can the dignity of the human be founded. Only faith teaches that man is more than an amalgam of cells locked in the immanence of the merely material. It is true that philosophy can give us some arguments in favor of the existence of the soul and its openness to the transcendence. But Father Jaki prefers to rise to faith to another level in order to rescue the fundamental idea that man is the creature of God. His soul is a creation of God, a creation from nothing. And Jaki says that man acquires his dignity of being human by being a creature of God with a vocation to know and love him. And moreover, he is called by grace to participate in the divinity as Peter's letters teach, and this makes him a child of God, neither more or less than a child of God. Well, what teaches all this? And Father Jaki says our Catholic faith, as principal defender of Catholic faith, yes? So let's take the example, for example, of defending the life of the unborn to facilitate what Jaki wants to tell us. He was always an effective defender of the life of the unborn, and he did so from an unwavering fidelity to the true science, to reason, and to the magisterium of the Church. Jaki liked to quote Tertullian, who wrote that Christians had forbidden not only killing, but even the destruction of the fetus in the womb. Moreover, Jaki reminds us that Tertullian is the first to invoke 2 passages of the Bible against abortion. One passage is that of the words addressed to Jeremiah. He said, "Before I formed you in the womb of your mother, I knew you. And before you came out of the womb at birth, I sanctify you." For Tertullian, these words meant that what was in the womb had to be a human being complete with life if it could be sanctified by God. The second passage that Father Jaki uses is the greeting of Elizabeth to Mary and Mary's reaction to it. Supports Tertullian argument when he says, "Each mother recognizes her son and sees known by her son who is alive, being not only bodies but also spirits." Jaki says that, unfortunately, Tertullian didn't explain the obvious, that is, when John was at the time of a fetus of 6 months, the fetus in the womb of Mary could have scarcely been 2 weeks old and would therefore not be defensible by the current apparent laws. However, that same fetus would become the ultimate basis that would provide defense and rational justification for everything, including laws, lawyers, and legislators. Mary must have been surprised that before she could have said a word about herself to Elizabeth, Elizabeth spoke, and she did it from within, from her own belly, as the child jumped with joy and reverence for the arrival of his Lord. So a fetus of 6 months bowed in adoration to the Lord of everything in the womb of Mary, who had not been there for 2 weeks. What greater testimony can one expect from above in defense of life, says Father Jaki. Although it may seem strange, this supreme testimony in defense of life has remained curiously unexploited. The yes said by Mary is forever the main argument in favor of the unborn. As Father Jaki writes, the center of his imparable charm is Mary. She made it possible, saying yes, and the greatest promise of the Father, his Son, who said yes with capital letters. How far is this beautiful argument from the mentality of a modern man? Jaki appeals to Christian revelation as the only knowledge that, in the full harmony with reason and science, can give us an answer. Jaki starts from a fundamental fact that reveals the theological anthropology, the original sin that gives rise to the fallen state of nature with the consequent loss of preternatural gifts. In Jaki's textual words, the 4 consequences of original sin are the darkening of the mind, the weakening of the will, suffering, and death. All this leads us to struggle to find the truth, to fight against the darkness with which sin left us, and once found, to be coherent with it, to fight against the loss of the gift of immunity in which sin left us. It is time to answer the question of what would be the correct strategy to achieve the triumph of bioethics based on truth. For Jaki, the correct strategy for the implementation of an authentic bioethics goes through 2 complementary and contemporary phases. The first phase would consist in the formation of the Catholic Christian world in the basic principles of Christian ethics and bioethics. Jaki was asked in one interview, where are these basic principles of ethics and bioethics? And Jaki said, neither more or less than in the catechism. And he was saying this with his fingers, it's a little catechism. And finally, the second phase for the implementation of an authentic bioethics for Jaki would be the use of the worldwide presence of the Church and its privileged implementation in the main world centers of thought, Europe and the United States, but in a unified way and coordinated, create a global current of a public opinion favorable to the truth and bioethics, which is like the salt of the earth or the yeast that makes the dough ferment. This is what he answered in this interview done in 2009. Consistent with the wish expressed by Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI in his speech of the Pontifical Academy for Life in March 2007, I like this quotation, and he said, I trust your help, dear professionals, philosophers, theologians, scientists, and doctors, in a society that is sometimes noisy and violent, with your cultural qualification, with teaching and example. You can help to awaken in many hearts the clear and eloquent voice of conscience. Father Jaki considered that the salvation of bioethics in the new society would have to come with a scientific criteria from a solid Catholic moral formation that would have to be transmitted to society. In definitive, as Father Jaki liked to repeat many times, he said that what I wanted, he said, is to revitalize Catholics for a fundamental battle and free world from a vain illusion. I remember that I was telling Jaki, but why only the Catholics? There are many people that they don't have faith, and maybe we need to explain to them. They say, no way. I mean, we cannot do nothing. We have to pray. I mean, we have to battleize the Catholics. So this was his main objectives, yes. Father Jaki loved the truth, and that's why he loves life. And here again, I have chosen the Cathedral of Barcelona because he admired Gaudi's work very much. And finally, I also have chosen the quotation of the Sirach 4, yes, because it was, as I told you before, and also Antonio told you before, it was one of his favorites. Even to death, fight for the truth, and the Lord, your Lord, will fight for you. And I like this picture. Was a bridge is by Vietnam. It was built in 2018 with the hands of God. It's called. Okay, thank you very much for your attention. I am not sure maybe if I have been very quick. No, it's okay, because I think we have more time. Maybe we should, Raquel? Yes, Raquel, you should talk next. Yes.
Help her to find the...
I remember, yeah. Ahí está, ¿no?
Well, we'll try to speak in English, so it's better, I think. And mine is not like a specific talk because I'm not a scientist or a professor or teacher or something. I study a little bit, but I'm more into philosophy and theology and miracles, and that's the talk today is about the miracle that we live together, Father Jaki and I, when I have the fortune to meet him in Mexico City. And it's a story, and it's about his life, and I really do believe that he was in Mexico for a purpose. I mean, not only for the Guadalupe book he was doing, but the Lady of Guadalupe had a purpose of bringing him together with her. So this is a story about, I was working in, I belong to the Regnum Christi, that is from here, from the Legionaries of Christ. And we had this apostolate that is called Virgen Peregrina de la Familia. It's about to give the faith of the Mother of Guadalupe to many families. And we, in 2009, we were just finishing the Congress of the Families, you know, this big event that was supposed to go Pope Benedict, and he didn't come, so Mexico was very angry, but we have the Congress, and we have a lot of work. After just finishing that, they asked me, the director of this apostolate, they were in Monterrey. They were organizing a Congress in Holy Land about Guadalupe and the shrine. And they were they contact Father Rafael Pascual, and then they said that Father Jaki wants something about Guadalupe, and he was a very good scientific, so he wanted to go to Mexico. So after the work we had with the organization with this, I mean, the part that we have with the organization with this Congress, when they asked me if I can attend a father that was coming from America, that he was an Hungarian one, and I didn't know him, I was kind of afraid, to tell you the truth, because in Regnum Christi we don't, I don't know how to say it, but in that time we were not allowed to go alone with any priest. You know, we cannot. I mean, they always are in couples, and you know the ladies, the señoras. We cannot be so familiar with them. So it was for me very unexpected, you know, that they asked me that, and I never met any Hungarian person before. The only one is when I live in Germany. When I married, I used to live in Germany, and my father was a race car driver, and the owner of the cars, they hire Hungarian guys like to travel like free, you know, without paying taxes. They come from Hungary, so they were very told, and they're very, I don't know, because they pull up the cars, and I imagine that this Hungarian priest that was coming to Mexico was a big one. I don't know. I just picture myself, and I was a little bit uneasy about that because I had a lot of work, and this only thing that to be alone with someone, it was with a priest, is not like our regular work with them. So when I met Father Jaki, I was so amazed. He was so eager to go in Mexico. I met him in the Anáhuac University, and he was so happy to be there. And she said, no, I just want to need an advice for you. I just need a map, and I just need a prom juice or something. I don't know what the prom juice was for, but that's what he said I only need. And I said, oh my God, I have to take care of this father because he's going to get lost in Mexico City. And I don't know, I didn't know who he was. For me, every person is important. For me, every priest is important. So I said, no, it's a very good priest. And said, okay, but I will take him to the mission he wanted to do, that was to learn more about Guadalupe. So I was very happy because the Shrine of Guadalupe is one of my favorite places in the whole world. And so I met him. I took him there because he wanted to go to many libraries to know the most information that he can get. And thankfully, we met with an important canonigo from Guadalupe that was involved in the miracle of what's his name, Juan Diego, and he was blessed. That's what he wanted. He wanted that the book was very awkward. He wanted the facts that they have to be real ones, not inventions or something, because he was that. I learned a lot from him in that few days. So I took him there. The Father Chavez told him that he needs to read the new book he just released, and then he was very happy. But the good thing that is that in the shrine is a library that I didn't know it exists. So all the work, 3-4 days that he spent in Mexico, he was working at the basilica itself. I mean, there in the shrine. One thing that he said to me that I learned and I am actually doing every day is that he said that if you work more than 3 hours together, I mean, the fourth one is useless. I mean, you have to stop, and you have to stop because the mind is the mind, and the ideas, they have to have like kind of order and time and something. So I was very, that advice is very good for me. And then I want you to show you what is the apostolate that I was doing, because it meant it's a lot of interesting before to continue. This is a shrine. This is well, maybe you don't know the story first. Guadalupe is an apparition of the Virgin Mother in Mexico City to an Indian, Juan Diego. That's a humble one that was. Now, in this year, we are celebrating 500 years of the conquer of Mexico from the Spanish. Maybe you heard something about our nice president that said that we have to say sorry for that, but I don't think so, because if not, we were now dancing strange things. But anyway, we're in that time when, I don't know, let me tell you, we were conquered by the Spanish. So they came with this religion that was something totally different from that. That's the resentment most people have in Mexico. Not most of people, but some people have resentment for that because they took away their beliefs. But when the Spaniards came to Mexico, they were converting people, to faith, to the Catholic faith, but it was not easy. It was not easy until a few years later, the apparition of the Mother of God appears. She asked this Indian, Juan Diego, to give the message to the major of the church in Spain, in the New Spain, to receive him, because they have a message for him. So the story is very beautiful because Juan Diego went, and Zumarraga didn't want can't attend him. And then when finally Juan Diego could stand in front of him, the Mother of God, the Virgin, the lady that she took in the way, she told him to pick some flowers, some roses, and give them to him. So the story is beautiful because he put them in the tilma. That is, it's something like this fabric. That's why this is in this, because it's something like in this fabric, very humble. It's very simple. And then he put the flowers in the tilma, and then he went to the priest, and then he said, I have to go. Then when I have some flowers for you. And then when he wanted to show the flowers, the image of the Mother of God was printing in that time. So it's so beautiful. I think it's the only printed image in the world of the Mother of God. So it's beautiful. So it's the Mother of God that wanted to stay with us in Mexico for the world. So Father Jaki went there, and when he was writing his book, he spent so many days in writing, not so many days, about 1 week, more or less. But when he stopped the 3 hours writing, he went back down where it's like a special platform to people to go and see the image of the lady. So Father Jaki was so impressed. He couldn't believe what he was experiment, because it was something that he didn't expect. The faith, the love that so many people. Then he realized that in the feast of the Guadalupe, maybe it's 10 million people all night going and sleeping outside. It's something very, very beautiful. So this was my work. I show him my work was to have this image from family to family, and he said that he had in his office an image of the Lady of Guadalupe in his office. It's not this one, it's another one, but that inspired him all the time. That's very, so but he was very eager to try to figure out what a miracle was, or maybe wanted to experiment one when he was there, because a miracle is something that for you that study physics and many biology or many things, I think the miracle is something that has no explanation, that has no limit, but it's not ending. I mean, life itself, it's a miracle, and we cannot explain many things. You can talk about many topics and many things, but the love of God and the love of Our Lady, the Lady through God, it's something that we cannot explain through the saints, through the Catholic Church. So this is the shrine. She is the Lady of Guadalupe, a replica, just like it is in Mexico City. And they have this rosary because it is for a group of families that they can pray in family for vocations, because the priests are the mother's favorite sons, and to pray for the life, because every Catholic should defend life. And it's for the love of the Pope, something that was telling us before, that to defend the doctrine, the magistery. Now we are in trouble, so we have to pray for the Pope as Catholics, and that's why the mother wants us to do. So she loved it, and she said he wanted to take some to Philadelphia, where he lived. And then he was so happy. First, you mentioned about the tone of the voice. When Father Jaki, when I met him, he speaks so fast, and I didn't understand what he wanted, and he wanted to go many places, and he said this and that, and I was just like, okay. He explained me so many interesting things, but so fast that I didn't understand what he was talking about. But then after maybe 2 days with Guadalupe, he was so kind, he was so sweet, he was in peace, he was different. One day when I picked him up from the basilica, he said, okay, Raquel, let's go to the pyramids. I said, oh, okay, let's go to the pyramids. It was not planned, but okay, let's go to the pyramids. But what I found very important in this testimony is because he studied all the time what birth and death, and everything. It happens when you're born and when you're dead. You have a mission. You have to study. You have to do so many things. But I didn't know that he was going to die in 3 months. So he was when in the way of Teotihuacan, he was telling me important things that I think that if you are saying goodbye to this world, is the things that matters most to you. He was telling me very, very interesting things because I didn't know him. He said to me that he was born in Hungary, that he came to America to study because in that time there was a persecution in Hungary or something, and he came with, I think he came with his brother to study in America, that he conquered this American dream to study there and to be a professor there. And he was so happy because he wanted that. He wanted to teach people. He wanted the people to know God, because he was in love with God. That's something that I learned from him, and defend him with sarcasm, with love, with whatever he can. He always defends God. He always says that Catholicism is the most challenging religion that there is. And this is something that is always in my mind. Catholicism is the most challenging religion that there is. And that's why many people doesn't want to be Catholic, of course. Now everything has to be more easy, more at the hand. I don't know. And I agree with him. It's not easy, but it's the way it should be. Maybe it's the cross. I don't know. Maybe it's the engine to go for more. I don't know. So he was telling me that he came to Hungary. He was realizing the American dream. He was teaching I don't remember the name, sorry. But what really hits me is when he said to me that he lost his voice 6 years. He was teaching in America. He's wow. And then suddenly one day he happens to have no voice for 6 years. I don't know what the name of the illness or what happened to him, but he said that at first it was a shock for him and he was very sad. He asked God, why happened this to me? Or I don't know. But that was the thing that God uses for him to write the things that he wrote, because he didn't want it to be a writer. He wanted to be a professor, and God showed that through the books he can be a professor and he teach more in that way. So I was just amazed about that. He told me about that he was sad to the first that he didn't see his mother for 10 years or something like that, or he didn't return to Hungary after 10 years, and that was hard for him, and that the main work that he liked to do was to work with I don't know if the most, but like his human part, he liked to convert people, if from another religion to Catholicism. I think what this is, I don't know, I don't know, I think that's a big challenge. But that's what he said. We talk about many issues, many things. He said that he talked about the things he have done here in the Ateneo, that the best exposition of the shrine of Christ is here, that is very good, that he like or love the legionaries very much. We were passing this crisis in the Legion, but he said that he met the daughter of Lenin in America, and he said that most brilliant people are like sick, maybe, talking about Father Maciel. He said, I met her and she said that his father was a saint. He was a very good and loving father, but really was a very bad person in Russia. But I don't know. But he has an answer for everything. That's something that I admire of him. He has an answer for every doubt that I had, really. But the only thing that he didn't know that was that the Guadalupe wanted to have him near because of the things that was going to happen to him. I think, I'm sure about that, because when he left Mexico, we were talking, and he wanted to know things about miracles. He was so eager about miracles. He told me about this John Carroll's book about Lourdes and the miracle that happened there, and he didn't convert to Catholicism. I don't know at the end, maybe, but he was surprised that because this Carroll doctor in the book he has, written or recopiled, I don't know. He said that the Dr. Carrel, this Nobel Prize, so many people who were dying and then walking alive with nothing. He told me about the miracle of the sun. And when he said that he wanted to go to the pyramids and we arrived there, I asked him, what do you want to see? Because it's a very big place. And I didn't know what. I want to see the big one. I mean, I want to be near the biggest one, the sun one, okay, the pyramid. Said it's amazing. So that's what I think, that he was ill since January because he couldn't walk a lot. He was very, very tired, but he was so eager to go to the pyramids. So I took him to the Pyramid of the Sun. I mean, I parked the more easy way that he can walk. And he walked so slowly, and he was so surprised. It was something that surprised him to be in front of a big pyramid. So he asked me to sit because he was tired. And to tell you the truth, maybe it was, no, I don't know, 30 meters that we walked. So he said that he wanted to lay down, to sit a little bit. And he was so happy. He said to me that now, after seeing the Pyramid of the Sun, of the pyramids, he can die. I don't know the word in English, but parafraseo, I don't know. He said a quote of somebody else that said, "I'm now, after being here, I can die." So that's what he said, and said, "Oh no, please, Virgin, I don't want him to die here with me," because he was very sad. I saw him very bad. Then we sat in a like a ruin. I think it was a ruin. I think maybe because he's an old man, nobody's going to say something that we have to take away from there. And he sat, and then he began talking to me about his brother, that he's priest too, that he has another brother in Hungary, that he was divorced or married twice, that many things. But then I don't know what happened, but in an instant I was like freeze, and I saw him, and the wind was like moving his hair, and inside of me I said, this is a moment very special. I think it will never come again, or God wants me to, is saying something to me, because it seems a little bit for me like John Paul II, that I love, but in a way he was like thinking about his childhood and things, and the wind was maybe, if no, I don't know, I'm like a very spiritual person, so I think that was very special trip for him. So that's what I think, that those things matter to him, because that's why he told me that. He never told, I wrote so many books, I'm against this, I'm against that. He said something that about these things about the priest, the abuse of the church. He said to me that in America, the abuse of church come more from the Protestants than from the Catholics. But because of the Protestants have no monastery or money, they don't make, they don't sue them because they cannot have money from them. So I think it was a very personal relationship that I have with him, but he insists to fill me with his books. So after that, he wanted my address, and he bring me many books that I have to read with patience. But he said that I learned from him that it's very important to study, to know the facts, to know because he has an answer for everything. I think we have to learn something if we have to defend our faith. And that's what he wanted the most, to defend his faith. He said to me that he was very fond of John Paul II, that he once bring here to Rome a group of converts to an audience, but not with John Paul II, with Benedict, and with Pope Benedict, and said that he was a rainy day, that it was a very boring lecture, and the converts were a little bit amused, of said, oh, this is very hard. No. And so he was very, I don't know, for me, I think was a very human, very nice human being. So that's what I learned. But in these studies that you all make, and the cosmos, and the purpose of the things, and I don't know, I think, and I've been thinking and realizing that the Mother of God has everything that you study there, because it's the cosmos, because they have the date of the apparition, because she's pregnant, because she believes in humanity. She wants to come and be with us. In the book of Guadalupe, and the drama of Guadalupe, Father Jaki quotes something very important, that he was amazed about the fact that the Virgin told Juan Diego to call her mother, because that's what she wants us all to be, and that only the people who became like children can understand that, and can be called a mother, children of God, and the Mother of God. So this is like something that happened to him. He went before his death to go and meet the mother and be like a children with her, and to say, I think the Mother of God wants him to hug him, to give him strength that maybe will be necessary in the next few months, because I think he was saying goodbye. And then after he invited me to come here to this conference. Not here to this conference, to the conference he was going to give here in Rome. He wanted me to hear him. He was so eager to come. I want to give you a lecture. I want your friends to hear me. Because he knows that was the thing he has to give to the world, and not only but he wanted everybody to know all his hard work. But at the end, he was a priest, son of Our Lady, and I am very grateful to be here, to Father Raphael, to the Ateneo, and everybody, but mostly to God and to the Virgin, because I think she loves him so much. I mean, this is something that I can see, that science cannot see. I can see the love for Father Jaki, and the way she wanted to thank him for all the hard work he has done to the humanity, to the converts, to everybody. He wants to have one of his predilections near. So I think the legacy of Father Jaki is not ending. I think it has to be just arising. I mean, most people has to know it. I compromise myself to through Guadalupe, the drama of Guadalupe in Mexico, give more of Father Jaki's work, because he is so needed now in this world now. The thing about the abortion and all gender, or I mean, this theory of the gender, or I think he will be crazy about that. So this is my testimony. I find the most beautiful gift that God can give us, that is a friend, and in a very special way. My son just had an accident a year before. I told him about that, and he wanted me to know how was the accident, how was the miracle, and then he was amazed about that. He had a very bad car accident racing cars. He almost lost a feet, and we spent like 3 months in America, in Indianapolis. And then he said to me that he can help me writing not a book, when the Virgin gives you a miracle, you can write ex voto, but I wanted to make it like a little book. And he said that he was going to help me out with that, and he wanted me to view books, printed it or something. But no, I know how I'm gonna do it. But the name of the book was, that I thought was because of Picho, was A Journey to a Miracle. And now I think that the drama of Guadalupe is the real journey to a miracle. And that's what I wanted to say. Miracles exist. Miracles cannot be explained. Miracles are the way God wants us to be together, the way that we have to defend our faith, that we defend our church, and to make this a better world. I think that was what Father Jaki wants, that to this world to be a much, much better world, and to defend and work hard for it. Thank you.
Bene, grazie mille. Siamo andati benissimo il programma, ma non direi tanto solo per questioni di tempo, ma soprattutto anche per gli interventi che abbiamo avuto, che mi sembra sono molto, molto ricchi, anche svariati. Ovviamente ci sono diversi tipi di interventi che si completano, si arricchiscono fra di loro. Dunque io direi abbiamo del tempo a disposizione e io direi di sfruttarlo. Dunque noi nel programma abbiamo ancora, fino al pranzo ovviamente possiamo lasciare poi alla fine un po' di spazio di riposo, però io direi di sfruttare almeno una decina di minuti per eventuali domande. È vero che nel pomeriggio ci sarà più tempo, però perché non prendiamo qualche momento anche adesso? Dunque io chiederei ai relatori di stamattina se possono venire per farsi disponibili per le domande. Dunque se potete venire i relatori, Lucia, Raquel, Dean, come here please for the questions. Antonio. Ok, facciamo un piccolo panel. Allora, se c'è qualche domanda, sì, se si può avvicinare, ecco, abbiamo il microfono.
Yes, in Spanish because my English is very bad for lady. Quería preguntar a la profesora Lucía el tema de la encarnación. y la visitación. Padre Jaki decía que era un tema que era poco usado en los argumentos de la Iglesia Católica. ¿Se podría profundizar en este punto?
Okay. He's asking me about the example about incarnation and why he thought, Father Jaki thought that it was not enough exploited, this example against the unborn babies. Well, I am not really sure why it's not exploded, this example, because it's really very, very good. Because in the incarnation, the salutation of Elizabeth to Mary when the unborn is only scarcely 2 weeks old, in the Bible reflects that there is, it says that it's a jump in the womb of Mary, and Elizabeth went. She didn't know even that Virgin Mary was pregnant, because it was a younger baby than the baby of Elizabeth. But Father Jaki wanted to use this example to give strength to mothers that they are pregnant, and to make these mothers pregnant be conscious about the important human being that they are having in the womb with only 2 weeks, because in the Bible it was the weeks. So I think that's the key of his argument. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Bene, grazie. Qualche altra domanda? Prego.
I am a student of philosophy, doing a PhD here in Rome on the thoughts of Stanley Jaki. The biggest challenge that I have with Jaki is the use of the Bible and the use of the scriptures and the use of the dogma that he talks of. How can we make his thoughts more acceptable to the wider community? Because his arguments are very good. But as soon as a non-believer takes any of his books, is blocked from the wealth of his idea. The example that you're given about the revelation is one of the things that can be philosophically demonstrated, because at conception, substantial change takes place. After that are all accidental changes. What changes is growth. So at conception, the child is the same with the man of 80 years old. If we can kill the one of 2 weeks, there's no problem of killing the one of 80-year-old, because the difference is only in age. In this conference, my desire is, how do we make the wealth of Jaki's knowledge spread in a more acceptable way to the wider audience? Thank you very much.
Who wants to answer?
Well, just for allusion, I would say that this kind of meetings is a way of participating of Father Jaki thoughts. And I think it would be a good idea, it's my opinion, to try to students to meet and to come to these kind of meetings, maybe one every year, I don't know, and try to make them see the importance between science and faith. Because as I told before in the talk, an argument, and Professor Stanley Jaki says many times, is the only way of revitalize the Catholics is with the science, because they use the facts to get a stronger faith. But obviously, you cannot lose to pray, because as I said before, you have to hold the rosary in your hands, so that God gives you the strength to continue, because it's you're going to find many difficulties in the way, and you cannot forget about praying in the way. Yes. So this is one thing, and the other thing, Father Jaki was a great defender of the Catholic faith, always all around the world. In fact, when he went to Mexico, was because the purpose of this journey was because he read in the newspapers that there were a group of scientific people against the image of the Virgin Guadalupe, saying that there was not a true miracle. Yes, and this made him feel really sad. Yes, and that's why he started writing the book, because when he always wanted to explain something to the humanity, to the people, that anyone that wanted to learn something, he always, the answer was a book. The answer was, I'm going to write a new book. It was always working, you know. So, well, I would say that maybe some kind of books that he wrote are very complicated for some people that they don't know philosophy, and maybe doing these books summaries, I don't know, because he agrees that that's why he started to do shorter books instead of bigger ones. But he said that also the Catholic, the Catechism was better than any of his books. He always was saying. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Antonio?
Not sure that there is a real answer from Father Jaki to your question, because actually Father Jaki was writing for Catholics. That is, he wanted to help Catholics to give reason of their faith. And he helped a number of people to find God, to become Catholics. He was fond of staying in touch with converts. He went to great length to find out about the conversion of Sigrid Undset, a Nobel Prize for literature in 1928 from Norway. And so the answer is we must pray and try to do our best to help people to understand that Jesus is the life and the way. But if we just use logic, as it was well demonstrated with the example of bioethics, if we just use logic, it is not enough to persuade people. Actually, the gospel is not. The gospel is the foundation of our morals, and if you try to get a moral without the gospel, you fail. That is why the Kantian, the way of finding a moral law used by Kant cannot work. And also, I mean, the Christian moral is based on the statement in the Matthew Gospel: "What you do to all these small people, you are doing it to me." This is not purely rational. I mean, there is a choice to be done, and if you don't do that kind of choice, if you don't accept Jesus as the center of your life, then you cannot understand a number of other things. So I would say that conversion is a prerequisite to really appreciate what Father Jaki writes. Conversion to Christianism, not necessarily to Catholicism, but in general, you cannot impose the Catholic moral on a forceful basis or on a legal basis.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Just about what you said, in Mexico now it's a law that is going to defend the unborn child. Instead, what Father Jaki told me once, the unique genetic you know, you have a genetic code when you're born, and that's what you are, the human being that you are from conception. So the law is going to be to defend conception, not a baby or a group of cells. We want to defend conception, the baby that is already concepted. This code, this unique code, that you have to defend that, because it's the man that it was become. Is not, and you can argue that because you don't have to be Catholic to defend that. The baby, we are defending the conception. When you are already conceived, then you have rights, and that's the rights that we have to defend. But I don't think that's the only thing that Catholics should do. I think many people should do that, because it's like John Paul II said, the culture of, well, la muerte, I don't know in English, the death culture or something. But the genetic unique code that you have when you're conceived, that's the thing that we have to defend by law, not only by Catholicism.
Bene, forse posso aggiungere qualche cosa anche in modo per concludere questa mattina. Penso che Padre Jaki ci ha offerto alcune strade, alcuni percorsi in questa direzione. Per esempio, è stato detto come lui ha presentato degli esempi di persone che si sono convertite, è stato appena ricordato. Dunque questo mi sembra può essere di aiuto. Infatti uno dei libri che lui ha curato, è stato detto da Raquel, è stato proprio una nuova edizione in inglese del libro Viaggio a Lourdes di Alexis Carrel, che è un convertito in qualche modo, perché lui si è trovato davanti a un miracolo a Lourdes che lui non si aspettava e che andava contro tutte le sue convinzioni. Poi c'è il campo della cosiddetta apologetica. Abbiamo visto che uno dei suoi progetti era fare proprio un corso di apologetica. Questa parola oggi è molto in discredito. Perché? Perché c'è stata una cattiva apologetica. Però bisogna fare una buona apologetica. Dunque non dobbiamo rinunciare a seguire questo percorso, secondo me. E poi un altro aspetto sarebbe quello di cui si parlerà anche questo pomeriggio, dei segni. In qualche modo anche vedere con questo, i segni, i miracoli. Dunque il Signore ci offre dei segni per poterlo scoprire. Ovviamente questi segni non sono dimostrazioni, sono degli indizi, però se uno è aperto, se uno è attento, questi segni ci portano verso Dio. Quindi mi sembra che questi sarebbero alcune indicazioni che ci offre Padre Jaki per appunto andare incontro di fronte al mondo in cui ci troviamo, dove c'è purtroppo un allontanamento notevole rispetto a Dio. Il problema che delle volte sorge delle persone quando si confrontano, e quello è venuto fuori nella domanda, con gli scritti di Padre Jaki, è forse che Padre Jaki aveva un carattere piuttosto forte, no? E questo per le persone può fare un po' di difficoltà, no? Perché è molto diretto, molto chiaro. E per questo non tutti l'hanno apprezzato per quanto valeva la sua proposta, no? E quindi può essere un ostacolo questo. Però bisogna chiedere alle persone di andare oltre, di non fermarsi a un aspetto che è contingente, no? Ma trovare quello che ci ha insegnato in un modo, mi sembra, abbastanza giusto. Per non dire, e lo dico, che alla fine il cristianesimo sempre appare come un segno di contraddizione. Questo bisogna anche tenerlo presente. Dunque non è una dottrina facile, non è popolare, non ammette sconti, eccetera, eccetera. E questo bisogna tenerne conto. E nel Vangelo di oggi quello della liturgia è un esempio. Gesù non fa sconti, no? E dice le cose chiare, anche lui, per cui anche nella sua stessa vita ha visto l'allontanarsi di diversi anche discepoli, no? Bene, dunque questo forse può darci qualche indicazione, no? in quella direzione. Bene, con questo io direi di già concludere. Abbiamo fatto un bel lavoro, penso, questa mattina. Meritiamo una pausa pranzo. I nostri ospiti sono invitati a salire qua sopra e ci ritroviamo dopo il pranzo, un po' di riposo, alle 15:30 per proseguire con il nostro programma. Possiamo concludere con una preghiera. Nel nome del Padre, del Figlio e dello Spirito Santo. Amen. Ti rendiamo grazie per tutti i tuoi benefici, o Dio Onnipotente, che vivi e regni nei secoli dei secoli.
Amen.
Regina Apostolorum. Nel nome del Padre, del Figlio e dello Spirito Santo. Amen. Grazie e a presto.